Hello and welcome back to Behind the Tech Desk. My name is Jake.
And my name is Dale, and today we have a very special student interview for you. It is the one and only Trimester 1 student, Josh.
What's going on?
How you going, Josh?
Hey, mate.
I love that intro. He's so relaxed.
Yeah.
It's going on.
Yeah.
He's not nervous at all.
Not nervous at all. So how are you finding Trimester 1? What discipline are you studying, Josh?
I am a film student.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know. Yeah.
You don't want to give us your home address, your credit card numbers? Okay, yeah,
What
fair
about
enough.
your parents' names or the name of your first pet?
I'll give you my mum's
What street did you
maiden
live on
name.
as a kid?
What primary school did you go to?
I went to Baldivis Primary.
All right, cool.
Excellent.
Pull up his
We're in.
account.
We're in.
That makes a lot of explanations for what's going on as like the intro to the podcast.
Yeah,
Look, we're piecing it together. That's all I'll say.
So how are you finding Try 1?
No, it's going good. It's going good. I think thus far I have found all of the lecturers to be very clued in. Look, obviously, because most of them do kind of work in and around industry, or at the very least they have worked in and around industry. They have that ability to kind of speak to not just teaching the lessons, but how to kind of impart that in real world experience, and how to use those skills on a set, for example, being film. So how would you write? How would you go and actually collaborate with a director? Like things that you are going to do in the industry. So no, I think it's great. I definitely think it's great. I think there's a great vibe all along campus as well.
Excellent. And I think that you've touched on one of the best things about SAE, which is like all of the lecturers, they obviously have all of their degrees and everything like that, but they've really worked in the industry in kind of a real way. So when they impart this knowledge onto you, it's knowledge that comes from a place of like, I have been on a film set, or I work on film sets very regularly. So it's all very like, it's very real advice, I suppose, and very real education rather than just kind of something they read out of a book, which is really, really cool. But so you've obviously touched on your time as like a Trimester 1 student, but like what's a piece of equipment you're really excited to start using in your later trimesters, or what's something that you're really looking forward to as your studies progress?
I'm absolutely going to be looking at that RE about twice a week.
I've got good news for you. It's not the RE. There is two REs. Yeah. Two ARRI Amiras. And if you haven't heard anything about the ARRI Amiras yet, they are our stage 3 cameras. They are a Netflix tier camera. They're used all through the industry. Absolutely crazy. So
Can I book both of them out at the same time?
one for each shoulder.
Yeah.
That's how I carry around my cameras as well.
And you're getting the real point of view shot, aren't you? That's the real like.
One for my left
That's
eyeball,
actually
one
how
for
they
my
invented 3D. They just had some dude with two cameras on each other. Just composited it together.
Oh my!
I believe it. Yeah.
I would believe it 100%. So how do you find the vibe on campus? How well do you get along with the other students here? Do you attend a whole heap of the events and things like that, or?
I attend events where I can. I'm unlucky enough to have to work outside of full time study as well. But when I do have the availability and I am able to, I do like attending. We've got we have the movie nights. We have the cosplay ones. I also catch the train, so you wouldn't catch me dead catching the train from Rockingham Station in cosplay. But no, it's great. The events are fantastic. The vibe amongst the students and everything is pretty great. I think everyone's pretty easygoing. I can kind of go around, and especially now that we've got the green room set up, is you can just kind of be in there and talk to almost anyone.
100%.
And everyone will have that conversation with you.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the best things about the green room is that it's not like a space which is, I guess, dedicated to any one thing. It's a place where you can kind of hang out or just go to an event or just have a cup of tea. Just have a cup of tea.
Just have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Probably
Buy
the
him a
biggest
beer.
contributor to the...
Next time you see Tim, buy him a beer.
Also, if you see a cup of tea, buy it a beer. Just
For anyone who's not aware, we have said to buy someone a beer in every single episode.
no, we didn't say it in Ryan's episode.
I'm going to cut it in.
Oh.
Right at the end, buy him a beer.
Buy him a beer.
If you see Ryan, buy him a beer.
Yeah, we'll cut
He's on
it out
tour
of
at the
this
moment.
episode. We'll put it in that episode, and then we'll cut that section out of his episode, put it in the main podcast, and then we'll upload this episode with 2 instances of buying Ryan a beer. This has gotten really overcomplicated
Late on
really
a
fast.
Thursday, my
buy him a
brain's
beer.
not following. But anyway, back to the topic. Is there any particular event you'd like to see in future on campus? Maybe like a battle of the film students so we can finally halve their numbers and take over as audio?
No, that's for game students. We'll just...
They're already battling it out. It's
Yeah,
fine.
True. They're using Muffin Time and Dungeons and Dragons to battle it out.
Don't you dare
Yeah,
talk
come in here and
negatively
talk.
of Dungeons and Dragons.
yeah.
I'd like to clarify, I wasn't throwing shade at Dungeons and Dragons.
Actually, I'm
only
believe...
level 1. My stats aren't that good. I couldn't take him in a
I
fight.
was going to say, I believe I caught you at the most recent Dungeons and Dragons Club
yes.
event, didn't I?
Well,
Look, they all come around.
as Sun Tzu
No.
says, you must know thy enemy.
So, Josh, we obviously, for those of you who don't know, have requisitioned Josh as our camera operator for the Behind the Tech Desk podcast. He's been helping us improve our camera quality. I've been noticing you get around a lot on campus, doing a whole lot of stuff for other students in terms of film. I believe you sung a song for a student as well and sung live at the Green Room Groove 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. What other things have you been up to further your career here?
Oh, well, I'm definitely... you've hit the nail on the head. I'm definitely active around campus. That is not without question. I've taken part in the Green Room Groove because I do a little bit of music as kind of a hobby as well. Absolutely right. I did a recording for one of the music students, one of the later Try music students. He's been working on that for the last 2 weeks, and I'm so keen to hear the final product.
Yeah.
No, I've seen him really labouring over it too, so I'm like, you know what it's like to have to listen to my voice all day. And I have gone off, and I even did a film shoot at the comedy festival in Hamilton Hill recently, the Side Splitter Comedy Festival. That was pretty great. I managed to get in there. That was good old Rob sorting me out with that. That was great experience, and from what I understand, that is going to lead to more things in the future as well. So that's camera operating, and there's an understanding of, I want to do directing as my kind of higher goal, and that was something I discussed with him, and he's like, you know what, if there's ever a film set, no direction, or we'll just shoehorn you in there. So there's I think something that I've already learned, I think even before coming here, but just has been reinforced, is you just got to go out, you just got to do it.
Yep.
That's what's going to set you apart from the other people that are studying that aren't necessarily going out and doing those things. Like I'm try one. I want to get into the master's program at ECU for my studies. That's my goal, and they take 4 applicants an intake, from what my understanding is.
Yep.
Anything to stand out, anything that can further my skills, further my experience, and just that's my obligation to myself to go and do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So burying down a little bit to more as things that you like as a person, what's your favourite film?
I think
It's a
everyone's
loaded
sick
question.
of hearing this specific name because it's one of the longest names for a film.
It's Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, isn't it? Because any other answer is wrong. You're aware of that, right? Right?
No comment. No. No, I do love Lord of the Rings, but my favourite is by Martin McDonough, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. That is my absolute favourite film of all time.
Interesting. I've personally never heard of it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
This is a school podcast. I'm not going to tell you about the story.
Okay. All right.
So this is a bit
Do
of
some
an adult
research.
one. Yep. Okay.
All right.
I'm not going to remember that name at all. I could watch this
I'll write it
podcast
down for
6
you.
times and still not remember what that name is.
Had the word Missouri in it.
I heard billboard.
Yeah,
That was it.
Just think
Halfway.
3 billboards.
3 billboards. 3.
No.
Go watch 3 billboards. Just go out in the street, cross the road from SAE, and watch 3 billboards.
Stare at it for an hour and a half and be like, I don't know what all the fuss is about. This is boring.
No, it's a great movie. To give a kind of basic story of it, it's about this mum and her daughter was unfortunately murdered in the town, and no progress has happened within the police station, and she goes, I'm going to rent those 3 billboards outside on that kind of empty road near my place, because the police only really drive through there, and it's basically just goading the police It's been this long, still no arrests.
Yeah.
Even putting the excruciating details of the whole situation, like on one of the billboards.
Yeah, right, okay.
Specifically calling out the police chief. But I just think it's a fantastic film.
It does sound pretty good, actually.
I might go watch that.
Yeah. I was just thinking the same thing. You know what? I've changed my mind. I'm going to remember what this is. Anyway, thank you so much, Josh, for appearing on this podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have. Is there anything you would like to plug that isn't film related?
No.
Fair enough.
Well, I always like to ask one final question before we wrap things up, and that is that you're about to finish your first trimester at SAE.
Cactus!
Did that...
So I always like to ask one final thing before we wrap up the podcast, and that is, what is one piece of advice that you would give to another student who's going to be in your position soon? So someone who's going to start their studies at SAE, what's a piece of advice you would give them?
Look, I'd say work hard. As I touched on before, is if you have an opportunity, or even if you don't have an opportunity, make an opportunity for yourself and give it absolutely 100%. Even if you only try one, it all goes towards building up who you are going to be in the industry. That's something I already know. You know, that's you give everything 100%. If, you know, you still screw it up, which will happen, you will screw things up. That is natural. That is how you learn. Accept that, learn from it, do it better next time.
That's an excellent piece of advice.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Advice.
But listen, that's the end of today's interview. This has been Josh. My name's Dale. This is my co-host, Borgie. And don't forget, the future is you.